Welcome to Minding Your Business, the Pro Montreal Entrepreneurs Podcast, a program of Federation CJA. I'm Dan Laxer, and if it looks like I'm reading from a paper script, it's an illusion, it's AI. And we'll talk about AI in this episode. Glenn?
And for Catherine Korakakis, I'm Glenn J. Nashin, host of the Federation CJA 360 podcast. And this is not AI, this is really me.
And, well, for those who might not know, I don't know why they don't know, but what is the 360 podcast?
The 360 podcast, Dan, is a great monthly podcast produced here in Studio 5, Federation CJA. And we talk about the latest events in the Jewish community, great people, donors, philanthropists, and those that are just showing up and participating in some of the best programs anywhere. We also talk about the latest current events in Israel and throughout the Jewish world. So you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts, or watch on YouTube. It's the Federation CJA 360 podcast.
Okay. And as far as this podcast is concerned, every episode we introduce you to the founder or founders of businesses, startups, some of whom found their way through PME, plus words of business wisdom from the program's various mentors. In this episode, we'll get into a fight, well, maybe not a fight, a discussion with a proponent of AI. We'll argue, discussion. Our guest this episode is an entrepreneur who helps other entrepreneurs navigate the world of AI, and that is coming up.
Dan, you say fight. Why should we fight? What's the problem here?
Well, I know that you and I have had our disagreements, let's say, about AI in the past. I was never a proponent of AI, but ... but I know you use it.
Oh, absolutely. I think, the future is now. The future is always now. And whether it's ChatGPT or Perplexity or Copilot, the list goes on and on. Grok, I mean, there's so much out there. I think you have to find your place, find your comfort zone, make yourself comfortable, and figure out how to grab a hold of whatever technology is coming at us. How can it make our lives better? How can we improve things? How can we adopt it in a way that's meaningful and works within our life? It doesn't mean it's going to work for everybody, but find your place because it's here.
Yeah. And I have to admit, I've started using ChatGPT for small things. I have yet to really understand its full potential, but its full potential scares me.
It's pretty cool, though, living at this moment in time where this technology is coming and washing over ourselves. Think about it 100 years ago or hundreds of years ago when they invented the wheel or the toaster oven, or do you remember your Sony Walkman back?
Yeah, of course.
I mean,
yeah.
That was so exciting. So we're living through those moments, or our kids are living through those moments where this technology is brand new. We don't even know how to pronounce it, how to talk about it, how to explain it to our, our folks, our grandparents if they're around, and here we are getting into it right away. So I think it's pretty exciting, and the future's coming. It's here. Grab a hold.
Well, this might be a good time to bring in our guest for this episode, a tech expert with more than 20 years in the business. And as his website says, after 2 decades in technology, Moshe Alovsky has dedicated himself exclusively to exploring and building with AI with a singular mission to make this transformative technology accessible and empowering for business leaders. As I said earlier, we've had our discussions about AI, but I guess I have to accept that this thing is here and it's changing things. Moshe Alovsky, put up your dukes. I mean, welcome to Minding Your Business.
It's a pleasure to be here. I'm really looking forward to this. And I just want to say I enjoyed watching that conversation, and my reaction to it is yes and, for both of you. You're both right on many accounts, and that's the dichotomy that we're in right now as a society.
Well, this is going to be interesting then.
So let's start at the beginning as far as you're concerned. Talk to us about your new venture, how this came about, and where you're going to be taking it. What's your mission?
Yeah, thank you. So I've been in tech since I graduated from McGill in 2001, and I moved out to Seattle to work at Microsoft. I worked there for 15 years. I worked at Zillow, WeTransfer recently. And in 2024, the company I was at was acquired, and I had free time after that. And I was fully amazed by what was happening with AI. I've been in tech for over 2 decades at places where there's cutting edge technology, very important companies in their spaces. And the thought of AI, of the potential of AI, was always known. It was always talked about. It's been talked about in computer science since the 1950s, the 1960s started to pick up more. But what we saw happen when ChatGPT came out, which was predicated by Google, figuring it out in 2017, I believe it was, Google published a paper. Google Research published a paper. It's called colloquially the Transformers paper. And because there's a technology called Transformers in it. They describe this technology as a white paper that really was the secret, the key to unlocking what was the dream of AI, of people who were trying to do AI, which is maybe one day we can make a machine, computers and the machines that we interact with on daily, that's a machine. Well, maybe one day we can make a machine that can reason like a human and can think like a human and can create things and do things. And that was always kind of a North Star that was out there.
Like HAL, 2001 Space Odyssey.
Exactly.
Or Data from Star Trek Next Generation.
Or C-3PO,
Yeah.
right? So exactly, it's been the stuff of science fiction. And when ChatGPT came out, and Google wrote this paper and released it to the world. They call it the biggest business mistake in history. Google, Eric Schmidt, the former CEO, says that was the biggest business mistake ever. They released it to the world. They didn't try it. They didn't think that it would be so magical. Mm-hmm. And then when ChatGPT came out, based on that architecture, and everything was based on that was the key to unlock, it was completely magical. Everyone who's in the industry, just dropped our jaws, and we couldn't believe what was happening. And the speed of change, and once you have this, make this leap. And what is this? This is a new type of machine. This is how I like to describe it. We all say computers. Sure, they're computers. It's using a computer because that is the form function that we have in the world to do things with technology, right? But really, it's a computer program that's a new type of machine that allows it to learn like a human would learn, like a brain develops. Think of a child. Think of if either of you have children, you would know that that when children are young, they're complete sponges. When I was 4, 5, my parents took us to Israel. Beautiful year. Definitive year of my upbringing and informing who I was, even though I was so young. But they took us to Israel, and I picked up in pre-K Hebrew like a sponge.
Of course, yeah.
If I went today without knowing Hebrew, same situation, I did not know Hebrew before that. In a year from now, I would maybe be very happy with myself if I can order at Machane Yehuda something in broken Hebrew, and I would be proud of myself. After a year, I came back and went to speech therapy for my accent. So that's when a child learns. It's a similar thing with what this new thing is, which we call large language models, or we call models.
So much of what you're talking about is exactly what, for lack of a better term, what scares me about AI, because you're right. I mean, we've been talking about it. You mentioned the 50s and 60s. I go back to the 80s with philosophers like Daniel C. Dennett and guys like him talking about artificial intelligence. But in our modern day context, yesterday it didn't exist. Today it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And it learns like the velociraptors in Jurassic Park.
Yeah. So that is scary. It's beyond scary in many ways.
But you've harnessed its power.
I wouldn't phrase it that way. My point of view. So you asked me for my mission and my goal and what I'm doing. So I was amazed by it, and I really believe that to understand a technology, you have to use the technology. This is from my experience, and this is something completely new that is being adopted. Well, I wouldn't say I'm not going to focus on adoption now. Is being introduced in every product around everywhere. It's being made available everywhere. We've never seen adoption like we've seen with AI. The amount of users, ChatGPT, we've never seen that in the history of technology. And still adoption is still very early, those that are using it. my mission, what I realized in focusing on AI for the past 2 years now is, and I still realize, I see it as I talk to more and more and more people, is that there's a lack of understanding as to what AI is and how you should approach using it. And when you have the proper understanding of what it is, not the tools, but conceptually what it is and how that can impact your work and your business, then you could start to fly with it. But also knowing what it is means knowing what the risks are and the downfalls and what we have to be on the lookout for in how we use it. So it is a technology that is unlike anything we've seen before, that is spreading at a rate that we haven't seen before, that is improving at rates that we have never seen before. You know, Moore's law is pretty much thrown out the windows, that technology capabilities double every 2 years. We're seeing, depending on how you want to measure capabilities, what the benchmarks are, whether it's the tasks that AI could do from version to version, or whether it's like how much they could do of it, or whether it's how many tools they could connect to, or whether it's there are all these different benchmarks, but we're seeing 10x, and depending on the benchmark, 17x. You know, it is rapidly progressing. It behooves every business and every individual should be looking at this with an open mindset, I believe, and understanding what the risks are and exploring what the benefits are, because we're going to have to figure out, it's going everywhere. We're going to have to figure out collectively how we want to address this thing. And the only way that we could do it responsibly collectively is if we know what it is. So that's my mission here.
So let me put that to you. If this were something new and no one had ever heard about it before, how would you define AI?
That's a great question. Rather than define AI, I think it's more beneficial to talk about what the AI era is.
Okay.
So like we had the Industrial Revolution that introduced a new era. At that point, labor could be mechanized. You know, you could use an engine to push things, to lift things, to plow the fields. You know, we entered the industrial era where we could use machinery for labor, okay? The AI era is when intelligence and thus capabilities are now mechanized. So we have the ability for anything that, any task that a human can do through like white collar jobs, through thinking, through interacting with the machine, we now have the ability to introduce a machine that can do it. So intelligence now becomes commoditized. Intelligence becomes available to everyone, which will have an effect and change everything. It's scary on many levels because it's happening so fast, but it is also unbelievably empowering. It gives the ability, for example, the software industry. Software industry is being changed dramatically because they're the first to adopt it. Mm-hmm. They invented it. But also, what is software? Software is just language. It's the language of speaking to computers, all different types of programming languages out there for basically like different layers of where you're talking. But at the end of the day, it all gets translated. It's a way for humans to type something that translates into a language.
Moshe, let me ask you, where do you come in as far as your new venture is concerned and harnessing this whole discussion and bringing it to your clients?
So a few things. So I've become an expert in AI adoption at companies. So companies adopting new technologies is always very scary for people. And given that this is a new type of machine, a new type of thing, it is something that is to be adopted differently. If you use your old playbooks of how you adopt, if you wait to see when things settle, you're too late. You need to be able to understand the types of things it could help with at your company. What are the best ways to actually bring it to your people in a way that empowers them? You know, business owners have a challenge in front of them, and how they go to their employees? Their employees have fear. How do they bring their employees in on this? You have to do it in a right way. So for the past year or so, I've been working with companies across all different sectors and really understanding their needs and helping explain to them what AI is and helping them transform themselves to do it in a way that is, going to yield results, but also see around the corner as to what's coming up next and be mindful of it and how they approach it.
What's been your experience with those clients in terms of their grasp, their understanding from before you met them to after you met them? What are you hearing?
It's been amazing. It's been amazing. That's it.
But that does speak to the whole reason you're here is how you've been concretely when you go into a company, what it is you're helping them do with AI.
Yeah. So the question is, how is AI going to change the workplace? I mean, that's the high level thing. I have this hypothesis right now that I've been proving over the past year that if you are a business owner, if you're an entrepreneur, you're in a tough spot. And when you go out to outside help for AI, there are a lot of, I read this several months ago, so I haven't checked this in a while, but the number one job at the time, the number one white collar job growth, white collar job in terms of job growth in America at the time is AI consultant. Okay. Buyer beware. We're in an era of a lot of grifters. We're in the era of a lot of people faking it till they make it, especially on AI. Well, everyone is kind of faking it on AI because it's all brand new. Like everyone's learning it.
That's
right
it. We don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, like a company that goes out and hires a PhD in AI who is training the models, that's a totally different skill set. That is not who you need. And those are the people who have been in AI for a while. The people in AI now are figuring out, okay, we take these new tools and ways of working capabilities and how do we go in and build things? Well, what's happening is a lot of people are selling services and they're selling services to clients that are either near being obsolete or going to be obsolete in a few months. And that slows down adoption. People lose trust in if you're going to go and take the leap and go and try to do stuff, and then you pay money to someone and they actually don't, they are trying to resell something that they've built. It erodes the trust and erodes confidence, and people are being left behind. So, what I'm setting out to do is really just help people make the right decisions and understand AI and see for what it is, and do it themselves, do what they can themselves. Know when you should do it yourself. Know when you should hire an expert and what you should look for an expert. And know when you should buy it off the shelf. There are all these new tools and technologies coming out all the time that solutions that you would previously pay someone $100,000 to develop, and today maybe it would cost $10,000 to develop because it's that much faster. And maybe that person's trying to sell to you for $50,000. I don't know, maybe not. And some of those are just available off the shelf, and some you could actually just do yourself right now.
So your new venture is called Moshi.ai.
Yeah.
It's new, and therefore people are not only experiencing the AI era for the first time, but the notion of going out and finding a consultant, finding an expert itself is new as well. So what sets you apart compared to the other .AIs that are out there? Why should someone call you?
So I spend, it's a good question. I spend at least half my time just building and exploring and learning and talking with people to learn. So I've been doing this the past couple of years through the beginning of, this AI trend, or this not AI trend, for this beginning of this AI moment of AI being available. And so that's one differentiator, which is that's a key aspect of I protect that time to be able to do that. I would say the other, I'm not selling workflows or solutions. I'll help you figure out how to do it. I could put you in touch with some people that I know, but my goal is to empower leaders to make the right decisions and to understand. And what my hypothesis is that with AI, if you have the right frame of reference for how to think of this and have some foundational knowledge, which is seems hard, but it's actually pretty easy to grasp if presented in the right way.
Okay. So you're not going into a business and sort of setting them up an AI for logistics, hiring practice, supply chain management.
I'm advising a couple of companies who are doing that, and I make sure that they're on my roster so I could, of companies that I advise, so I could be part of that experience too. And always stay, and I go to the design reviews, for example, of the things that are being built and stay in the loop. So I partner with companies across the spectrum who are really looking to change and transform, and I have a broad view of things.
I think we can talk for hours about this subject in many, many different ways. But for the purposes of our time-limited interview, I would like to ask you that there are any company that's looking to grow, that's looking to stay in business, probably has a need to reach out to you or someone like you to figure out how they can coexist in this new era.
Yeah. So thank you. I think it's very beneficial for. I think everyone who is in business today needs to be thinking about AI and needs to be experimenting with AI and following influencers and watching their content. There's YouTube videos on AI. Approaching it from the right angle, though, is critical. And for the right mindset is critical.
A lot of our listeners and viewers are young entrepreneurs, and we've heard from them. They're already exhausted. They don't get to go home and have dinner with their kids. They're burning the candle at both ends. How are they? What is your advice on how they should embrace AI and to absorb that in their young budding businesses?
I think the best advice I could give for young entrepreneurs is to start experimenting and go play. And you have. I mean, it depends on where you are in your business. Some businesses, and this is something that, we've seen examples of case studies of companies that have kind of pulled the brakes on everything and say, okay, our whole business model has changed and our AI is going to disrupt our business model. We have to change everything. Sometimes that is the right approach, depending on what your business model is. And depending on where you are as a business, at what stage you're in as a business. Other times it's the wrong approach, depending on what stage you're in on a business and what your business model is. So I would advise them to play, to experiment, to learn, to keep an open mind, to be responsible with their usage of it, but to also know that they are capable. Everyone is capable right now of having the equivalent of a software engineering team, not for building software to sell software. I'm not talking about that. To make software and be in the business of selling software and production software, it's not like we're not at the stage yet where you could just ask it to do something and start selling it. And in that world, then for most little tools, wouldn't I just make it myself rather than going and use something else if it's that easy in that world? But we're at the stage where every business right now, for those tools that you would hire someone to go make a custom tool for you, or if you're doing something, you're just, I just wish I could do the analysis a little bit more or figure it out. You now have that in your pocket to go use. Everyone has that ability. And you do not need to be technical. I thought maybe a year ago we were at the stage. I was thinking with vibe coding, and I got really into it. No, we were not at the stage, and I did not advise. I wasn't preaching vibe coding for people to jump in to solve their business solutions in a complex way, in simple ways more so, but in a complex way. We are at the stage now where I would say everyone can jump in and really do amazing things with the tools that are available.
I think that's a great place to end it, right?
Yeah, short of our viewers and listeners searching on AI, how to find you, how do they find you?
So Moshey.ai, Moshey.ai is my website. I'm also going to be speaking at Entrepreneur Week, at Federation's Entrepreneur Week.
Right.
And yeah, my goal is really to empower the community here to really like this. We say AI is the era of entrepreneurship. Companies are changing. How we work is changing. Technological change favors the newcomers. Okay, it favors the smaller companies over the larger companies. Those that wake up, arise, entrepreneurs. That's my message. And this is the time to understand and grow. And it is scary, but it is also the opportunity of a lifetime. So.
AI Rise Entrepreneurs.
Right, yeah,
That'll be the title of this episode.
I like it.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about Entrepreneur Week up next. But for now, Moshe Alofsky, Moshe AI, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Federation CJ's second annual Entrepreneur Week will run from Monday, April 27th to Friday, May the 1st. So we've invited in Adam Levy, an entrepreneur in his own right and one of the co-chairs of this event, to talk more to us about it.
Adam builds companies powered by AI at their core, like PopRx, a telehealth service, and KeyStack, an AI-driven property management tool. For the past decade, he's been helping entrepreneurs attract customers and keep them engaged and remove the bottlenecks that slow businesses down. Adam, welcome to Minding Your Business.
Thank you very much.
Let's get into it, Adam. You've got a whole slew of events coming up. Why don't we run through them, tell us about them, and let's pitch it to our young entrepreneurs and interest people to attend.
Sounds good. So this is our second annual Entrepreneur Week. Last year was amazing. We had amazing attendance, subjects, panelists. But what we realized was last year the entrepreneurs didn't need more content. They needed better conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has access to information, podcasts, YouTube, ChatGPT. Information's infinite. But what most founders don't have is how to address their problems and how to implement the solutions. So we decided to build Entrepreneur Week around this issue. This isn't a conference. It's a week of curated conversations for people actually building. It's not panels for the sake of panels, not theoretical discussions. Every session is tied to a real business problem. We really tied in practical information to everything. Each event is designed at what founders are actually dealing with right now. You don't have to attend the whole week. You can plug into what you need, but I guarantee you, you will find value throughout the week for yourself and walk away with lots of insight.
So we had a little bit of a peek in with our last guest, who was Moshe from Moshe AI. Let's talk about who you're going to feature.
Sure. So I'll go through some of the main events that we're promoting. Monday, we're opening with hustle culture, but not the Instagram version. People are tired of fake productivity hacks, surface level networking, tired of the what do you do conversations when they walk into a room. So we decided to take it a little bit deeper and make the reality of conversations, make them real, make them raw. We're running an AI experiment in that event. So people will be really connecting and walk away with conversations that are deeper than the ice, than breaking it. Try that one again. People are going to be walking away with real connections, deep conversations that are beyond breaking the ice. Less pitching, more honesty. Wednesday night, our AI event. AI, the daily business partner.
That's with Moshe.
That's with Moshe. Moshe is our headline speaker. There's myself, Rudy Bitbol, and a number of entrepreneurs presenting the reality of AI today in the workplace. Most people are still at surface level there too. They're writing content, they're using ChatGPT, but this is for people what comes after I've tried ChatGPT. How do I get it involved, integrated into my workflows, into my operations, into my marketing? Mm-hmm. How do I actually use AI to help me do less work, more productivity?
Interesting. Yeah.
Thursday morning, we have our breakfast networking group presenting their Letting Go to Grow breakfast event. This is when we move into something almost all founders struggle with, letting go. At the early stages, founders do everything. As they grow, they become the bottleneck. What founders don't realize is that they rarely take a step back to review their role in the organization as it evolves. We're used to doing it all, and mostly alone. So this topic is going to really cover delegation, hiring, trust, building teams. If you're still doing everything, you're not scaling. You're basically surviving.
Oh, that's fascinating. Yeah.
Thursday nights, one of my favorites, is the art of negotiation. That's when we get into one of the most practical skills in life and business, negotiation. We're looking at deals, client relationships, partnerships. Most people negotiate more often than they realize, and we're not all great at it. I know I still need some work on that. We have a world-class speaker. We have Ilan Goretz leading that session. The way you should think about this, you should show up to this event because one better negotiation can make your whole business year.
Mm-hmm.
And we're closing off with a little bit of a different space, mindfulness. People don't really associate mindfulness and mental toughness to entrepreneurship, but they're tied. Entrepreneurship isn't just strategy. There's pressure, there's uncertainty, there's endurance. You can have the best strategy in the world, but if you burn out, none of that matters.
Yeah, we talked about that on a previous episode with Erica Diamond.
Absolutely,
It was really
yeah.
interesting,
I was just
and
gonna bring her up.
something that maybe is not talked about a lot amongst young entrepreneurs, but they're all thinking it, feeling it, and
And
living
dare I
it.
say, among young male entrepreneurs.
This is happening in our West Island location.
Mm-hmm.
So we're inviting everyone to come, reset, and use this time as a reminder that performance isn't just tactical, and learn some skills that can really help you through the tough times.
So during that week, that runs from April 27th to May 1st, the Promies are taking place as well. So maybe give us a little sneak peek what the Promies are all about
That's
for those
right.
that aren't aware.
So we actually start the whole week with the Promies, which is Pro Montreal Entrepreneur Awards. It's 25 years already since the fund was created. And this is where we come to celebrate as a community the real entrepreneurs and the growth we've had in the business community all together. So this year, we're recognizing the impact of Jimmy Alexander and Stephen Brofman,
Co-founders.
which are not strangers to the community.
Yeah.
We've seen the reality of what they've built. And this is led by our co-chairs, Harley Finkelstein, Kenny Harris, and Deborah Markles. So I think it's a great opportunity to come see the growth of the community. And tickets are still available. They're available, I believe, on JLive. So I invite everyone to come join us there.
So that's on April 16th. That'll precede the Entrepreneurs Week.
Correct.
Okay.
If you want to know more about Jimmy and Stephen, you can listen to the first episode of this podcast,
Right.
Minding Your Business. They were our first guests, and it's a fantastic conversation about how and why they started up Pro Montreal Entrepreneurs, but it's also hilarious.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
I'm going to check that one out. Later, around the week, we have a lot of other events like our From Zero event. This is where we focus on the next generation of entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs, early stage builders. It's a raw, real conversations. I invite everyone to come see the next wave before they get established, really see what's growing in the community. There's the MJU Expo happening right in the middle of Entrepreneur Week. It's a beautiful new initiative in our community, bringing all of our businesses together. I invite everyone to come really see the big network of Jewish community businesses at large. And it's beautiful to see everyone working together and in one space.
So that'll be April 28th. The MJU Expo will be April 28th. And we'll be speaking to Isaac Blackman, the CEO of the MJU Expo on the Federation CJ360 podcast. So good cross promotion to tune into the 360 podcast.
And to close off, to kind of give you a full spectrum of what we're doing through Pro Montreal and the Entrepreneur Week, we also have a ton of activities in the schools with our Shinshinim. So
The Shinshinim being the students that are here in Montreal for a couple of years. They're on their gap year, or for 1 year at a time. They're here on their gap year after high school, before military and university studies. So we've got 6 or 7 or 8 Shinshinim here in Montreal. So what are you going to be doing with them?
So we're bringing them into the schools, and we have activities with the Jewish day schools where they're exposed to entrepreneurship really early, and they learn how to build a real ecosystem that crosses borders.
That's great. That's great. So lots of activities coming up, and it should be of interest to all entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs in particular. And more info and details, tickets can be found where, Adam?
They can be found on JLive.
Okay.
Emails are going out. You'll find it on the Pro Montreal website. And you'll find us on Instagram, LinkedIn. It's going to be everywhere soon.
Okay. So JLive is jlive.app, A-P-P. But you'll find it on the Federation website, federationcj.org or promontrealentrepreneurs.org.
That's right.
Okay.
So, Adam, now we're going to put you on the spot because this is the point in the podcast where we usually offer a bit of business wisdom to our listeners, usually from a PME mentor. This episode, it's a little different. It's a live mentor minute. So as long as you're here, what's a quick bit of business wisdom that you think startups or entrepreneurs need to know?
Well, I'll use right now as the prime example. It's get comfortable in the uncomfortable. I've never done a podcast, but I welcome the challenge. And I think as entrepreneurs, we have to learn how to navigate in unknown territory real fast. Don't get afraid by the idea of something new, something different. Lean into it, see where it goes. Maybe you like it.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
If you have a startup idea and you have what it takes to bring it to life, but you need some support from PME's wisdom and coaching, just Google Pro Montreal Entrepreneurs.
And that's our time for this episode, Dan. So for any more information on the Pro Montreal Entrepreneurs or any Federation program, you can go to federationcja.org or to promontrealentrepreneurs.org.
Minding Your Business is a production of Federation CJA. Executive producers are Glenn J. Nashin and Catherine Korakakis. Technical production by Daniel Moskovich. The Minding Your Business podcast. Subscribe, download, listen, and share wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Dan Laxer.
And I'm Glenn J. Nashin, Minding Your Business, Pro Montreal Entrepreneurs, bringing ideas to life.